In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. It was a courageous thing to do, but someone was already here. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Today, Columbus Day, it's a quest for Jerusalem. Most people haven't a clue of what Christopher Columbus was about, especially since the 500th year anniversary in 1992. Many Americans have been treated to lopsided views of Columbus's influence. What they don't realize is he was a first-class navigator and he was a lousy administrator. We're going to talk about that with Carol Delaney, a scholar who's focused on the life and motivations of Columbus. And that is the religious motivations, the spiritual motivations. He took very seriously his faith in Christ. Carol Delaney received her doctorate in cultural anthropology from the University of Chicago. She also has a master's from Harvard Divinity School and is a graduate of Boston University. She's now an emerita professor at Stanford University and a research scholar at Brown. She has written a remarkable work of history and one that is utterly accessible. Turned out, though, that 1992 was a year in which Columbus was pilloried by lots of critics. What was the passion of his life? He was apparently a wonderful navigator, but how would he have characterized himself before 1492?
Right since 1481, which is more than a decade before the first voyage, he had already been thinking about the end of the world. There were apocalyptic times, and he was a religious man. And the Crusades had not really taken Jerusalem back from the Muslims, but it had to be in Christian hands before the end of the world. And in 1481, he'd calculated, how many years were left. He started to see his voyage. He planned it to go to Asia to get gold. We all know that. People don't know what the gold was to be used for.
Right.
In his diary of the first voyage, he said, all the profits of my enterprise should be used for the conquest of Jerusalem. And that's in the diary from the first voyage, and he wrote it on Christmas Day, 1492, the day the Santa Maria went aground.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Explain to us, though, why it is that religious ideas, influences, motivations are frequently pushed to the sidelines.
In academia, they have not spent very much time about that. People interested in apocalyptic and millennial things have ignored Columbus.
Yeah.
And people who are interested in Columbus have ignored his religious motivations in part because, especially in the 19th century, they wanted to see him as one of the first modern men who was influenced more by science than religion. And the whole business of progress, and they saw him as sort of a beacon of that.
And it wouldn't work very well to have this beacon of modernity on the wrong side of the warfare between science and theology, right?
Right, exactly. He was pretty much a medieval person in the context of this apocalyptic thinking. He was also very much allied with the Franciscans, and they were the ones who had already gone across Asia trying to missionize the Asians and the Grand Khan, and tell the Grand Khan, you march on Jerusalem from the east while we get this crusade going from the west. And Columbus knew that, and the Franciscans knew that, and he also read Marco Polo and knew that the Grand Khan was interested in Christianity. And so I think he wanted to do a bunch of things. He wanted to establish the trading so that they could get the gold for the crusade, but he also wanted to convince the Grand Khan and his people to become Christian and hopefully join in this enterprise.